Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, or maybe even good evening out there. It is your girl. Ain't that what all the YouTubers say? It's your girl. It's your girl, Melissa Session. And here I am again. And you already know, if you catch me sitting on this couch with my cover, you already know I done took off work. And I am here to have a chit chat. And if you're looking at the title, then yes, today I'm going to talk about my cerclage journey. If you have not checked it out already, I did do a video about my pregnancy. The name of the video is Pregnant at 35. I think that's what it is. So I had this long journey of infertility, and I finally was able to make that happen at the age of 35. And I was very excited. Check out that video if you want just a little bit of backstory of what I did to help conceive at later age. And of course, although I was really excited about my pregnancy and becoming a mom, it was not free of any hiccups at all. And so at my 20-week anatomy scan is when I found out that I was going to need a cerclage. And again, I went running to the internet looking for answers. And there's tons of information out there. I found a lot of information about what a cerclage is and how it was going to help me with not going into preterm labor. But what I did not see a lot of is just regular, everyday women talking about what it was like for them, which is why I always knew I wanted to tell my story from a perspective, not an informative perspective, because there's a lot of that out there. Plus, your doctor is going to tell you that side, but just the regular side of what it was like for me. Did it work for me? If you've been on my page before, you will see little Miss Destiny running around, my 6-year-old. So yes, I'm going to tell you right now within the first 5 minutes, yes, absolutely it worked for me. It was successful. I'm going to give you my story. So it started off at my 20-week. So anybody who's pregnant, of course, when you first find out that you are pregnant, you get your first doctor's appointment. Mine was at 8 weeks, and it went through the vaginal ultrasound, and I heard my baby girl's heartbeat. I was so happy, so excited. It's almost like I can still feel and hear the rhythm of her heart from that particular day. And I was excited. That was at 8 weeks. And immediately after that, I downloaded the pregnancy app. There are so many out there. I did all of them that I could find. And you know, when you first start with your pregnancy, you are monitoring it by weeks. So you're at 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks. This is the size of this. 11 weeks. This is the size of that. And you're watching yourself grow, and you're taking your weekly pictures. I was on track doing all of that. I was high risk. I became high risk for 2 reasons. One was, again, I was 35 years old. When you're 35 years old, that's considered AMA. AMA stands for Advanced Maternal Age, anything 35 and plus. Hence the biological clock and stuff like that. It used to be called geriatrics. So that was one thing that was, let's say, a red flag. It didn't automatically put me at high risk, but it was like something that was there, and it was written on my paperwork. The next thing that is what actually had the doctors send me over to high risk was I came to 2 pregnancy appointments with high blood pressure. So automatic, those 2 things sent me over to high risk. High risk was amazing. The only thing that high risk was different from the regular appointments is I went weekly. So I think with regular appointments, you go every few weeks or once a month or something like that. But for me, I had to come in weekly. They placed me on high blood pressure medicine, and they just monitor me and the baby weekly. I would come in. So that was great though, because I got to see my little baby on the little ultrasound monitor every time I came. I had the baby app. Everything was going smoothly. I want to say I knew that my 20-week anatomy scan was coming up, because when you're on those little baby apps, you put in your due date. So everyone who's in your group, in your forum and stuff, are people who are measuring around the same time frame as you. So all of the other moms in the group were talking about their appointments. And they were mentioning, okay, I got my anatomy scan that came up and it was great. It's a little different from the regular ultrasound, where most of that you get to see the little baby kicking and stuff like that. This is where they're actually taking a look at the full anatomy of the baby, checking they have all their limbs and fingers and toes, measuring the circumference of their head and neck to rule out any, what do you call it, like chromosomal issues or stuff like that. And so they had that, so I knew that it was, they said, oh yeah, they said that it is going to be a little bit more pressure, because when they're doing the ultrasound, they're no longer doing that wand vaginally. You're on top of the belly now because your baby's big, so they're able to do all these things. And they're checking not only their limbs, but they're checking like their heart, their liver, spleen, making sure all those organs that should be there at that time is there and functioning properly. So they're gonna do the little gel that they put on your stomach, and then take that little ultrasound wand that they're putting on, and they're gonna be applying pressure, all this stuff. There were some moms in my group that had mentioned that they had to have a cerlage. I saw it written. I didn't think much of it. I'm like, okay, good information. Another parent, mom was in the group, and she was mentioning that they had saw like one of her kids' arms was not fully developed. So I don't know when the baby was going to be born. It may have like half an arm or however many inches of an arm. I don't know. But I knew that that was something that was mentioned. So with going to the appointment, I wasn't nervous, but I knew that this was a big appointment. So I went to my appointment that day, and everything was going as normal. And they had started the ultrasound. So the ultrasound technician comes out and does the ultrasound. And this particular ultrasound technician was doing all of that. I did see some of my baby far as like as a whole, but as mentioned, they were really focusing on the limbs. So they saw, and I was happy because I'm thinking about that other parent who baby arm was like not full length, but they were doing measurements. My baby had all her hands, fingers, toes, legs, all fully formed and developed. Her legs were actually pretty long. They could tell that right away from at 20 weeks. And she still has very long legs. She's tall to this day. Then they once they got that out the way, and then they like measured her head and stuff, then they went on to her organs, and they were saying this is this, blah, 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 blah. Again, everything is going cool. So then they said, no, they had mentioned her heart. They was like, we can't tell if it's like a possible murmur or something going on with the heart or the chambers or something. Let's do another one at 22 weeks. Come back in 2 weeks because she should be bigger and I should be able to see a little bit better. Same with the sex. I didn't know it was a her yet. So just give it 2 weeks. She's going to grow a little bit more. We'll be able to get what we need. I said, okay, cool. We walked out, but everything looks fine. Everything looks good. Cool. I walked out of there excited, contacting my husband like, hey, you got to come back in 2 weeks so they can get a better view of this, blah, 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 blah. And so we was like, let me tell you how great my pregnancy was going. I called him to do that, and then I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and do a baby moon to Vegas real quick, because soon we're not going to be able to travel. We're going to be at home in Vegas. I live in Los Angeles, so Vegas is a 4-hour ride. It's something that's quick. It's something that we like to do. We can see a show. We can eat good. We can do a little gambling, things that we ain't going to be able to do once the baby get here. So that was what we was planning to do, and we did. Went to Vegas, had a great time. I did a lot of relaxing. We did do a lot of walking. It was cool, real cool. Um, and when we came back, this is kind of when stuff went to shits. Let's say we went to Vegas on a Friday and we were returning on Sunday. I had my doctor's appointment on that Monday. So Sunday night, the night before we were scheduled to leave to come back home, we got a text from our landlord that he was going to be selling the property. He did tell us months prior that he was diagnosed with cancer, so we knew it was coming. We didn't know how soon. He was uncertain, unsure. That happened. That was Sunday. So then we came home, and I had a doctor's appointment that next day. I got up to and got dressed to head to my doctor's appointment. When I get outside, there's a note on our door, and it is from the new company that my landlord sold the house to, letting us know that we have 60 days to move. So that was the start of the morning. So it's like the bad news was just starting to happen, right? 1 second, that's my dogs. It's okay, sugar. Anyway, so I take the letter, I give it to my husband. I gotta go to my doctor's appointment. I go to my doctor's appointment, everything going as usual. They were right. My baby was big enough, so then they were able to, ultrasound technician said, oh, it looks like it's a girl, but I'm going to have the doctor double check just to make sure. So she wrote on the little screen XX with a question mark, like for a girl, maybe. She's saying she think it was. She wasn't 100% sure. Let me try to straighten this. Okay, yes. So she wasn't 100% sure. So she wrote that down. I was like, okay, I might be having a little girl. And then she went and started getting a little bit lower or something. Yeah, she went lower when doing the ultrasound. And she kind of, how was she acting? She didn't look like she was worried, but she started looking like she was focused. And she was snapping pictures and stills of the ultrasound, but it was of well, to me, seemingly nothing. On the screen, it was just blank. I didn't see any part of the baby or nothing. And then I did see like something that looks like the ocean, looks like water, and it made the watering sound kind of thing. But it was nothing. I don't know what she was looking at. I didn't ask. I just laid there. I let her do the thing. And then she says, do you mind if I do a vaginal, use the vaginal wand to get a look at your cervix? I said, sure, no problem. So she did that, went up there. She's still taking videos and pictures, and she looked focused. And then she said, okay. She said, I think, no. She said, I'm having a hard time seeing your cervix or viewing your cervix, something along those lines. She's like, but the doctor will come out and look at it. I said, okay. So she leaves out. I'm a little worried, but not a lot. My doctor comes. She says hi. She's grinning, and she didn't even look at the pictures or the ultrasound that the previous lady had just did. She came in and she said, I'm just going to check out your cervix again with the wand. I said, okay. So she's back up there doing the same thing. And she's done, and she washes her hands. I don't remember her mentioning anything about the baby. I don't remember her mentioning anything about the baby. I think she went straight into cervix mode. Like your cervix, she said, has dilated. No. I take that back. She started asking me questions if I felt any contractions, anything like that, and I was like, no. And she said, because your cervix has dilated. I said, okay. And she said, and your water bag is hanging out. She said, so technically you are going into labor. You haven't felt any cramps, anything like that? No, I haven't. She said, so you're not in active labor, but your cervix is opening up. And she said, so we have a few options. She said, we can do her cerlage. I said, I've heard of that before. And then she said, or we can terminate the pregnancy. That was tough. And then, or we can just do nothing. She's like, because you're not in active labor. And it may not, your cervix may not open up any further than it is now. She said, but the way that it is, you could have your baby any day now. And I said, but I'm only 22 weeks, and I know from all the research and stuff, like when you get pregnant, you look up everything. So I knew that I need to make it to at least a minimum 24 weeks for like survival. And I said that. I said, oh, well, no, that's too soon. I said, I have to be at least 24, right? And she said, yes. And she said, but we can do the cerlage. She said, it does come with risk. She said, we would have to do a amniocentesis. And now, the amniocentesis was offered to me at the beginning of my pregnancy, like the first trimester. When you are older, they do give you a chance to offer that. And that's when they take that long needle and they go into your stomach, they puncture and get some fluid out of your stomach. That's why they call it amniocentesis, because they pull the amniotic fluid out and they test the fluid to confirm that there's no chromosomal issues. And it comes with danger because you are poking through your stomach. It has those risks of things. And I had declined it at first because I just didn't want to have any risk of doing any harm unnecessarily. And the results of that test was not going to make me not have my kid, even if it did say that my kid has some sort of chromosomal issues. That's when people find out that their kid has like Down syndrome and stuff like that. And even if it did, I was still going to still have my kids. So I didn't care about the results, and I didn't want to risk miscarriage for a result that was going to mean anything to me. I prayed about it. I prayed that I had a healthy, normal kid. If I didn't, I would just have to deal with whatever God gave to me. So I was not going to do that. Now here it is for them to do the cerlage. That has to be done first, because if there is a specific chromosomal issue, and I can't remember which one or ones it is, but there's specific ones that if it shows up as a positive, they can't do the cerlage and they will terminate the pregnancy. So here I am faced with that. Or you can do nothing, because I was not in active labor, and my cervix could have just opened up just that much, and it's not going to do anything else. That was just what it was. But there was no guarantee because we're at 22 weeks. The baby still has a few more months left to continue to grow, to get heavy, to put pressure on this cervix. So it is indeed more likely that it's going to continue to open. At what rate, what speed, how many days, we don't know. So that's why I was stuck at. And I was wrestling, excuse me, with the option between cerclage or do nothing. Termination was not even on the table for me. I know that they had to mention it, but that was not on the table. So, and the reason why do nothing was on the table was because all through my infertility, I worked hard to be able to conceive naturally. I went the natural route with everything. I took vitamins, supplements. I changed out all of my like living situation. I changed my dish liquid, my laundry detergent. I got chemicals out of my house. I stopped burning candles, no dryer sheets. Everything went all organic, natural. I changed my diet. I started eating clean. Natural was the thing, and it worked, and it happened for me. So I was at that point in time living in my mindset of going the natural way is the best way. That was like, maybe I do nothing. I allow my body to be its own resource and let it do what it's going to naturally do. And that is probably the best answer. So I was going back and forth in my mind, and I couldn't come up with an answer at that particular time. And so the doctor was like, would you like to call the dad, my baby daddy? And I was like, no, because I didn't want to give him this answer. I didn't want to talk to him. I couldn't find the words. And she said, would you like to call your mom? And the little girl in me, that's what I needed. I needed my mom. So they said, we'll give you a little privacy. And so I was able to get my things and get my cell phone. And I was getting ready to call my mom. But before I can call my mom, I just had a rush of grief come over me and pity. And I cried. I was stuck in the, God, why me? I want to be a mom so bad. I come from good stock. I have an amazing mother who had an amazing mother who had an amazing mother. I want to be a mom. This is not an accident baby. This is a baby made out of love. This is like my chance, and I didn't know if I was going to even be able to, because here I am, 35. I've been wanting this for so long, and I worked my tail off to be able to accomplish it. And then you tell me, when this baby is here growing inside my belly, I've seen her heartbeats, I felt the flutters. You're meaning to tell me I can't have her? I didn't know what it was really, because we hadn't even discussed gender no more. That conversation was off the table. We just talking about straight cervix. So, like, God, why me? And I'm boohoo crying. I'm crying. I can't even dial my mom's number because I was just feeling horrible. I felt so bad. I just had a breakdown all by myself in that room. And it was a woe is me pity party. And I am not afraid to say it. I was lost. And right when that was happening and I was having a breakdown, I just was praying to God. A doctor walked in. Some male doctor. I can't think of his name right now. He was Asian. I don't know if he was Japanese, Chinese, I can't even remember, but I know it's an Asian male doctor walk in. Never seen him before in my life. He walks in, he does introduce himself, and he says, Dr. Post, who is my doctor who I've been seeing, has shown me your pictures and photos of your cervix. We see here now that we need to make a decision on if we're going to do the cerclage or if we want to go through with the termination. I said, oh yeah, and she also said, no, yeah, he said, if we do the cerclage, we can go ahead and it'll be done as an emergency cerclage, so we'll be doing it first thing tomorrow morning. If we do the termination, then it will be pill form. I believe he said it's like a series of 2 or 3 pills. It is not the most comforting situation, but it will expel the child. You come back in for a D&C, and then we'll put in the notes of your chart that you have a incompetent cervix. So then the next pregnancy, we'll know that ahead of time, and we'll be able to put a preventive cerclage in, opposed to doing what we're doing now, which is the emergency one. And I let him explain all of that without any interruptions, as tears falling down my face. And I said, and he stopped. And I said, well, she also mentioned the third option of doing nothing and seeing what my body does. This man, this man, gonna tell me in such a rude, no bedside manner way, oh, if you want to do nothing, you might as well let me go ahead and terminate the baby now, because this baby's going to come out. When I tell you, them tears dried up like that, and the fire of rage went from my soles all the way up to my face. I'm a black woman, and I know I came off red. I was steaming mad when he said that, because here you are, this man I ain't never ever seen in my life, never met you, and you walk in here and you want to offer to terminate my baby twice. Oh, when I tell you, baby, I was mad, I'm telling you, I was steaming mad. But not then. But today, I realized that was God. I was just crying to God. Remember, before he walked in, I was just crying to God. And I was telling God, why me? I felt so bad for myself. I couldn't even find the nerve to call my husband or my mom. I just was in a pity party, but God knew how to reach me. He knew how to reach me, because he was able to snatch up that anger in me and threw me in mom mode. Instantly, this stranger tried to threaten my baby. And I was like, decision made. After he had offered that termination 2 times, and the way he said it so smugly, I said, I'm keeping my baby. I need y'all to do whatever you got to do to save my baby. And immediately he said, okay. He said, Doctor such and such. It was another doctor that came in by this time. I need you to go get this, that post. We're going to do this. He goes and leave out, come back in, hands washed. He go wash his hand at the corner, put the gloves on. They come in with the needle for the amniocentesis, lay me down. They put the little ultrasound gel again. They rubbed the wand over me. I see my baby. I guess the first time I see her today in full, you know what I mean? Earlier that day, they were just knee deep in the limbs, so you have no idea what they're looking at until they tell you. But this is you seeing the regular ultrasound. You're seeing a baby there kick and move. And I remember looking at the screen and having mixed emotions, because that's my baby. I hadn't seen her all day today, and now I get a chance to see her. And I was just loving on her, but then I was also feeling like, what if this is the last time I see my baby? I went through that too. And this asshole of a doctor, he sticks the needle in me and goes in. I think they gave me some sort of numbing something. They had me take something. because it didn't hurt that bad. You feel it though. You can see on the ultrasound screen the needle going in, and they had to be very careful because you don't want to, poke the baby. And my baby was close by, and you can see her hand trying to touch whatever it is that just invaded her space, and it moved over a little bit. And then she was off on the side just chilling. He was directing the another nurse to go to the left, go here, to, and there's a, I found a pocket that I like, and he pulls and draws the fluid out, pulls the needle out. They put it in a capsule, and he says, I'm gonna go ahead and set your surgery up for 8 o'clock in the morning. He was like, we don't have the results from this yet. We're gonna pretend that the results is everything is okay with these results, and put you in for emergency surgery. So I need you here back at 8 o'clock in the morning. I said, okay. They said, we need you to go home. We need you to take it easy. And they gave like those little, is it called iodine? That little brown liquid you put all over your body. Go home. You can shower your regular way. And then after that, put this all over your body. After you put this all over your body, don't do nothing else. No more bathing, no more showering. You can eat after, I think, 8 or something like that. You have to stop eating, take all your jewelry off. All of that. You got to bring somebody here with you to do the cerlage. No, somebody just got to pick you up, I believe it was. So that happened. I did all that for the night. Got up the next morning. I get there, and they get me all prepped. I still don't even know the results yet. So I'm laying in the bed. I'm all prepped and stuff. And they say, so good news. We got the test results back, and all things are clear. There's no chromosomal issues, no Down syndrome, no blah, 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 blah. Perfect. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm thinking they're getting ready to wheel me back out to go ahead and get this done. And then they said, oh, wait, we got to check your cervix to see if it has gotten past, I think, 5 centimeters. If it gets up to 5 centimeters, I believe it was, then they cannot do it. Now I'm getting nervous because just yesterday I was at 4 centimeters dilated. So if it even grew a little bit, I was not going to be able to do it. So I was nervous, and a doctor, my doctor, Dr. Post, came down there. She sat me down, and she put her hands up my hoo-ha. And she's like, oh, you're good. Come on. And so they rolled me back, and they gave me something. Did I get an epidural? Yeah. That's what they did. You get an epidural on your back. They roll you to this cold-ass operating room. Had me hold the pillow in front of me. They came to my back. Popped. Gave me epidural. Legs went numb. Laid me down. And they went to town. So, there are 3 type of cerlages. There's the regular McDonald. Another one called something, Secadale, something like that. And then another abdominal one. And the other 2, the first 2 I mentioned are vaginal. So that's what I got. I got the McDonald, the regular traditional one. They put that in there. I felt no pain. You feel some tugging. You feel some pressure. But no, like, extreme pain. It has less pain than getting a pap smear. I tell you that. Shit. So, and it took them maybe 15 minutes to put in. And they just stitch you. So cerlage is just basically like a stitch. Just to close up that cervix. Like, baby, wait a minute. So they put that in there. That was fine. I stayed over. Did I stay overnight? I did. I stayed overnight, but you also know I'm high risk, so I don't know if you're not high risk if they have you stay overnight. They had to monitor my blood pressure and stuff like that too. So I stayed overnight, and then the next day I got sent home with the schedule to come back a week later so they can check to make sure that everything is working fine. So, oh, and then they put you on bed rest. I was on bed rest. So then a week passed, and I came back, and they did another vaginal ultrasound. And on the ultrasound, you can see where the cervix is closed because they did like a side by side. So it showed what it looked like before, where it was open. And then you can see the water bag right there. So, but it was open. Now, the second slide, it showed the cervix closed. You can see the cerclage where it's like what's closing it. And then it shows the water bag is still kind of squeezing its way through, but it's still closed, but the water bag is coming through still. So I was faced with another option. So they were like, okay, basically the cerclage is working, your cervix is closed, but this water bag is still kind of out. It's kind of getting through. So Dr. Post says, now it does look like I can probably like position you, do another surgery, like position you where you're tilted up. We can get that water bag back in, and if we can get that to, we can push air and get it back, we can go back in. There's room for a second cerclage. I can get closer and add another cerclage. She said there's no proof that having two cerclages is better than one. We don't know anything about that. We don't know, but I can try and I can see. She said, or we can leave this as is. We'll keep you on bed rest and have you just stay laid, preferably at like a tilted angle to keep the pressure off of the cervix, and see if we can just get you to 24, 26 weeks. And we can give you a steroid now, and then you come back a week from now or something like that with another steroid shot. And this steroid shot is for the baby. It allows it increases the growth for the lungs, so that once the baby comes early, the lungs have already got a accelerated growth spurt to be able to live outside of the body. She said, now this will be considered a preemie, maybe a micro preemie, depending on how early it comes. And oh yeah, I know it was a girl. I'm sorry. When I was, after they checked my cervix before the cerclage, and I got rolled in for them to put the cerclage, that amniocentesis also tells you gender. So I did get a confirmation. It was a girl. I'm gonna insert a picture. It'll show me bandaged up, getting ready to go in the operating room, finding out it's a girl. Anyway, fast forward. So they mentioned option one, we can go in, see if we can do another cerclage and see if that helps. Or option two, we can go ahead now and just get the steroid shot and help the baby's lungs develop faster in preparation for what is appearing to be a premature baby. They said that the baby will be in NICU, but we're at 22 weeks. No, we're at 20. This particular day that we're at the thing, at the doctor's appointment, I was at 23 weeks. Remember, I had my anatomy scan at 20 weeks. She wasn't quite big enough yet for them to see everything, so I came back at 22 weeks, and that's when they discovered I needed the cerclage. I got it done that next day, so this is a week later at 23 weeks. We're just trying to get to 24 at this point. So they was like, we think if this cerclage that you have as is will last another week. we're pretty certain it'll last another week to get you at 24 weeks, maybe even 2 weeks to get you at 25 weeks. We know that. We can almost bet our last dollar on, as it sits right now, it gives us another week or two, which puts us at viability stage. So your daughter is going to survive. It just may be a long road. We don't know what after that. So and for anyone who's uncertain, 40 weeks is what the full term pregnancy is. So we're at 23, with the guarantee up to 26 at this point, just after that one cerclage. And then they said, we'll give you the steroid shots. It'll boost up her lungs, so it'll prepare her for when she comes out. So I said, okay. I said, well, how come I can't get the second cerclage and still get the steroid? They said you can't do that because the steroid shot can only be given at a certain window, because it could be hazardous or dangerous for mom or baby. I can't remember the exact reason why, but there's only a small window of when you can give that steroid shots for the baby's lungs, which is now. If we're going to do it, we have to do it now. So I had to choose between the two, and I was wrestling with it because they said, oh yes, I was wrestling between those two because of those reasons. Like, damn, do I get another cerclage and see if that works and get me well past the 26 weeks mark for my baby? Or what if I get the cerclage and it don't last? Having the second one does nothing, and I miss the window of the baby's lungs being prepared, and the second cerclage still fails. She doesn't have the lung support. She gets here and not survive. Or do I just go ahead now and just get these lungs prepared? So I just was confused on what I need to do. And then one of the other nurses had came in again, another doctor that was not my normal doctor, comes in, and she was like, either way, we do believe your baby is going to make it. She said, I just want to prepare you for NICU, PICU life. It is difficult. We have plenty of great moms and dads there to for you to go through the journey with. We have support groups. She said, some of the potential side effects or symptoms, I can't remember the word, that can happen if this baby is born within 24 to 26 weeks is blindness, deafness, high risk of cerebral palsy, and the list goes on. It was a whole gamut of things, and it just made me sad again. Not sad like before, but it made me sad. And I didn't know at the time, but that was God for me too, because instantly I went back into mom mode. I already picked survival. Remember that first time I told you, I said, get my baby to live. Now I'm back in this same position again, and now I got the results that my baby is going to live, but I wanted her to live with the best options possible. Now, if my baby was born and I didn't have a say-so and all these things already happened to her, I would deal with that. But you're telling me before she gets here that there is even a possibility that I can make life easier for her, I'm going to go with that decision. Give me that second cerclage. So, this time, it wasn't so bad because I didn't have to do no amniocentesis and stuff like that. I went home, got a good night, did the whole wipe down my body again, went back to the doctor. I wish that rooster shut up. Sorry, y'all. I got a rooster across the street. Got up the next morning, went back to the hospital, got the cerclage. They gave me that little, what is it called? Epidural one more time in my back. Pow! Shot me right in my spine. Legs dropped, laid down, got another cerclage. 2 of them things. And stayed overnight again. And then they told me that next day that I was back on bed rest again and come back next week. Came back the next week, And same thing, we're going to do a vaginal test. So they got the wand out again. They went back up there. And cerclage number 2 is holding strong. Yes, it's only been 1 week. That's okay. But my cervix is fully closed, okay? Water bag ain't seeping through. None of that. Cervix is closed, okay? Can't sit here. The door is closed. And so that was really good news. And so my doctor said that that's going to be the last time that they are going to be going up there. They said we got to leave her alone. It's been a week. It appears that it's closed. We're going to monitor it. You are still on bed rest. Here's these dissolvable pills I need you to take at night. You got to take them not orally but vaginally. Take them, put on your finger, get it as close as you can, up to the cervix, to the promised land. Sit it in there. It's going to dissolve while you sleep. And that is going to prevent contractions. So that is what I did nightly. I'm going to put that up there. And then I continue with my regular doctor's appointments and visits and ultrasounds. And time was moving. And, okay, I went through this thing where I went on all the Facebook groups. Oh, I went on all the cerclage groups too. Well, it wasn't cerclage groups, but I Googled it and YouTubed, and that's how I know I didn't find so many people talking about what they felt like, what it was like, and all this stuff. So I did that, and then I got obsessed with mortality rates of newborns. So I would count every day that I wake up. I was like, okay, I'm 25 weeks in 1 day. What is the percentage rate of mortality for a baby at 25 weeks in 1 day? The next day I would check it and put 25 weeks in 2 days, 25 weeks in 3 days on. And I was obsessed. That was a part of my every morning routine, was checking the percentage of my baby survival. That's what I was checking, survival rate at 25 weeks in this many days, 25 weeks in this many days, 26 weeks in this many days. All the way when I had pinpoints. Making it to 26 weeks was my first goal, and I was so excited about that. And then after that, making it to 28 weeks, I finally felt like, I think I cried because 28 weeks took me out of that zone of PICU. I think now your baby will be like in a NICU or something like that. So then after 28 weeks, I made it to 30 weeks. And then I made it to 32 weeks. And 32 weeks is when I got off of bed rest. And I only got put on pelvic rest at 32 weeks. And that is also when I had my baby shower, because I was able to actually start looking forward to an actual date. And my doctor was like, okay, so we are going to have your C-section and get baby girl out at 37 weeks. So you have to get the cerclage removed before you have your baby, of course, because your cervix is closed, right? So if you're going to have natural birth, they're going to get to a certain point where they're going to take the cerclage out. And for me, it was at 34 weeks, because I knew that I was having her at 37. And that is because I already had C-section planned. One of the things that I did, if you check out my pregnancy, pregnant at 35 video, was 2 years prior, I had my fibroids removed by myomectomy. And the cut that they use to cut you for that particular surgery doesn't allow you to have vaginal birth. You have to have a C-section. So I knew I was having one. So at 37 weeks. So at 34 weeks is when I was coming in to get my cerclage removed. So it's time to get it removed. Here's the thing. to put it in, they give you that epidural, right? To take it out, do you think they give you an epidural? The answer is no. If you can't tell by that face that I was making, the answer is no. They walk in like a regular appointment, like you about to get a what you call that, a pap smear, and put that little duck in you, and go in there, and the doctor goes in to try to take it out. I don't know what it's like to successfully have it taken out, because it did not work for me. And it's because I had two. And it's been up there for weeks now, y'all. Because, you know, like I said, your girl had made it to 34 weeks. And so it's been up there for like 11 weeks already. And I don't know, with me putting all those little medicines up there, your body naturally doing what body does, and juices and all this kind of stuff. And it was stuck. She couldn't get it out, and she was like pulling and tugging, and it hurt. Oh, it hurt. It hurt so bad. I was like, ow, 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 ow. Oh, no, 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 no. And she was like, oh, you're bleeding. I said, I bet I am. It hurts. It hurt. And so she's like, okay. So she undid that little duck thing, took that up out of me, cleaned me up, and she said, we'll wait. She said, we'll wait. And she said, I'll just take it out when you do the surgery, when you get the C-section. So she took it out. On my 37th week, I had my date already planned, November 25th, 2019. At 9 o'clock in the morning, I was having baby girl. So after they got her out, I did my C-section. Then they went in and took the cerclage out, and they gave me my little strings that they used. So what happened was the two strings somehow got tangled up with each other, so they were unable to snip and remove it because they were all tangled up. So then I had that. So the cerclage did work for me. I had two of them. I don't know what would have happened if I only had one. I don't know if that one that I had was going to work. The first one was the McDonald's cerclage. The second one was the other name. I can't think of the name. I'm gonna come back in and say it. That one is the second one. That's gonna go a little bit deeper. And do that, and I was able to get both of those. It was successful. It was painless getting put in. It was painful getting taken out, but well worth it. Once you have the cerclage and you're labeled as incompetent cervix or incomplete cervix, it is going to follow you. I would never have a competent cervix. It's just, if I were to get pregnant again, they would just do a what do they call it? A preventive cerclage opposed to the emergency cerclage. So if you're out there, you're a mom, maybe the doctors just offered it to you, or you find out that it's not offered, it's needed, and you're going into surgery tomorrow, and you're looking at YouTube for just a glimmer of hope, let me tell you, you got this. Do not be afraid. Just know that your mommy skills has already kicked in. If you're nervous, your mommy skills is already going to work, because you are doing all the research and preparation for this baby. Baby girl, baby boy is going to be here. Be confident in your medical team. They got it. Even if you have an asshole of a person that came in there to offer you the cerclage, take it. Take it. That just may be God for you too. Let me tell you something else. I almost forgot. Cerclage number 1, covered by insurance. Months after I had my baby, a bill came in the mail. Cerclage number 2 was not covered by insurance because it was not life or death. It was considered an optional surgery, because remember I told you I was at 23 weeks when they offered cerclage number 2. And they were saying that cerclage number 1 was going to get us to 24, 25, maybe even to 26 weeks. So at that point, the baby was already going to be was going to survive. So I technically didn't have to have option number 2. So then now it's no longer life or death. It's an optional surgery. And yes, they did charge me. And yes, they charged me $1,900. That was back in 2019. I do not know the cost of it now, but it was almost $2,000 for that second cerclage. Would I pay it again and again and again and again for my kid? Absolutely. But it was a surprise to me because I did not know. But just to give you a heads up, you might get billed for it. If your insurance covers it, then that's great. If you don't have insurance and you want to know how much that bill is going to look at, about $2,000. And if it's, especially if it's optional, where you right on that cusp between 24, 26 weeks, the baby is still going to be alive, and this is just adding more time for it to bake and not necessarily preventing death, then you do get a bill for that. That's what my bill had said. And it notes it on there too. At the bottom, after they show you what the charge is, it tells you exactly why they're billing you for it, which is why I know it's because it's a optional surgery. But I do it again and again and again. I hope that this helps. I hope that you guys are prepared for this. If you do go through it and you're looking at this video, once it works for you, because I know it is, turn on this camera, do another video for somebody else. We need more people out there, especially, you know, people that look like me. Yeah, so we can see and we can just tell our story. Doesn't mean that it's going to be the exact same way for everybody, but just sometimes hearing another mom who went through it and telling you it's going to be okay is a blessing. And I'm here to tell you it is going to be okay. And we cannot wait for you to have your little bundle of joy. And I pray nothing but healing and blessings over you. Have a good day.